Good morning. Ooh, we got to do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
There you go. As you can see, I'm joined by Congressman Hal Rogers and several other folks behind me that you'll hear more about in just a moment. And we're here to announce the organizational structure going forward for the Shaping Our Appalachian Region initiative. Now, why is this important today? It's important because whenever people come together to prepare for the future, whether they call it a study, a blue ribbon analysis, a visioning exercise, or a strategic document, their fear is that the plan they produce will be relegated to a shelf, gathering dust and forgotten. We're here to tell you today that that is not going to happen with the SOAR initiative. It won't happen because we have the elements to make it an ongoing transformational process for Kentucky's Appalachian region. The first element is local engagement. As the Congressman and I have said from the beginning, SOAR will rely first and foremost on the ideas, energy, and engagement of the people who live and work right here in Eastern Kentucky. And I think we can all agree that the attendance at that December summit and their involvement since has erased any doubt about the energy of our local leaders. The second element is a commitment to action. SOAR isn't just an esoteric plan, it's a blueprint for work. And again, events since December have demonstrated in powerful terms that SOAR will become and is a catalyst for tangible progress. I'm talking about our proposal to four-lane the Mountain Parkway, the $100 million plan to extend access to high-speed broadband across the state, with the first phase being Eastern Kentucky. I'm talking about the federal Promise Zone designation. I'm talking about the resources made available through the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Strike Force initiative. We're talking about the $30 million Race to the Top award for K-12 education and the new $2.6 million loan pool for small business startups and expansions. Folks, those are things that have just happened in the last 3 months, and that's just the beginning. The third element is collaboration. SOAR requires partnerships between public and private sectors, across political party lines, up and down levels of government, and across a wide variety of community sectors, including education, business, philanthropy, and social services. Look around you. Those partnerships are on display with the people involved. And the fourth element is a mechanism for follow-up. And that's what we're here today to unveil in detail. The Congressman and I spent several weeks reviewing the SOAR report from the summit that occurred in December. We then turned to look for people to carry out this work, community leaders with proven tenacity, organizational skills, and commitment, and who can devote time and resources to these tasks. Today we're announcing several things. One is a 15-member executive committee, co-chaired by the Congressman and I, that will oversee the initiative for most of this year. 4 of those members are state and local governmental officials who will serve as ex officio members. They include Speaker Greg Stumbo and President Robert Stivers, both of whom could not be with us today because there's a little something called a legislative session that is about to wind up in the next 10 days in Frankfort, and they obviously are wrapped up in that at the moment. Also, 2 of our county judge executives will serve on that executive committee. 9 are regional leaders, primarily from the private sector. They are all standing behind us here. Their names are in the release that you all have seen. One of this committee's duties will be to find a permanent executive director who we hope will be announced in September. He or she then will finalize plans and run a second SOAR summit, hopefully in November. In the meantime, serving as interim executive director will be Chuck Flaherty, the president and CEO of the Rural Policy Research Institute. Chuck is the professional consultant who helped plan the December summit and has worked with the congressman and me to plan follow-up strategies. The executive committee held its first meeting today, at which time we discussed an action plan that the congressman will talk more about. Also today, we're announcing the creation of 10 working groups, which will be responsible for leading discussions throughout the region on topics related to Eastern Kentucky's future well-being and quality of life. These 10 focus areas will be agriculture, community and regional foods, broadband, business recruitment, business incubation, education and retraining, health, infrastructure, leadership development and youth engagement, regional collaboration and identity, and tourism, including natural resources, arts, and heritage. We have chairs lined up for each of these groups, and they are also here and standing behind us, and I see a few out in front of us. These folks are going to have an extremely important job because they're going to be leading the actual discussions in these areas and receiving input from a wide variety of people all across Eastern Kentucky, because the participation in those groups are going to be open to the public so that we get all of the ideas that are out there and we're able to sift through those ideas and find some direction in each one of those areas for Eastern Kentucky over the next several years. Anybody who's interested in participating should contact our new SOAR office in Pikeville for information. Congressman Rogers will talk about other parts of the organizational structure, including a committee to oversee fund development and a futures forum. Folks, this is an ongoing process, and listening is going to be an important part of this process. We're excited about the ambitious action plan to encourage even more intensive conversation on all of these critical topics. We know that we are asking a great deal of these leaders, and in turn, we're also asking the citizens of Eastern Kentucky to stay engaged and to stay energized, because SOAR is just getting started. Now I'd like to call upon my partner in this, Congressman Hal Rogers. Congressman?
Thanks, Governor. Thank you. Governor, thank you. And Chuck Flaherty and others, a part of the RUPRI group, thank you for putting all of this together. You know, before you can soar, you've got to build the vehicle by which you soar. And that's what has been happening and is making its introduction to you today. The vehicle that we hope will be the instrument that Eastern Kentucky climbs on to soar into its new future. That's what this is all about. We want to thank Hazard Community College for hosting us here today. They've always been gracious in that regard. I want to thank Judge Executive Denny Ray Noble and Mayor Nan Gorman for hosting us here. Thank you, Judge and Mayor, for hosting us in your wonderful community. Our number one goal is to keep this initiative that got off to a great start in Pikeville at the summit ongoing, and give an organization that can carry the ideas and the determinations of the people of Eastern Kentucky to a better way of life. That's the goal of this organization. We're gearing up to create quality jobs, to double down on our tourism efforts, to implement a plan for our future, and to link into global competition by bringing high-speed, high-capacity broadband to the region. The governor just announced this executive committee that stands behind us. They will be the driving force with intellect and passion in making these things happen. Every committee member is a native or a resident of the very region we're here to revive. And let me be clear on this. This is not a one-and-done team. These leaders have already been in the trenches all of their lives. They have worked hard for the region, and they're ready now for this big dance. You know, this team will hear naysayers. They will hear people say, oh, we've tried this before. Or they'll hear people say, it's just another dust-gathering study. It's none of that. I believe in planning your work and working your plan. Now, we've planned our work. We're in the process of planning our work. This group is the ones who will be the ones who make it happen, along with the working teams. Chuck Flaherty and his team at the Rural Policy Research Institute have kept us on schedule so far. We're where we should be, I think, Governor. I'm proud of the most energetic, forward-thinking person that I know in eastern Kentucky to serve as our managing director, and that's Mr. Donovan Blackburn, the city manager over at Pikeville, where the offices of SOAR will be located. And so, Donovan Blackburn, where are you, Donovan? Raise your hand. There he is. Will be the managing director. When you call that number, you're likely to get him on the phone. And if you have been to Pikeville, you can see the handiwork of this man and his team in making that community blossom. The working groups that the governor has mentioned will be the key, I think, in staying in contact with what the people of our region want. They will lead the charge on the 10 core categories that were identified during the SOAR Summit, and the governor has summarized for you. And let me say this, and some of you have heard me say this before. A vision without funding is a hallucination. So we realize that there's going to have to be development monies to help this organization soar. We're announcing today, as the governor has mentioned, a development committee of SOAR that will solely focus on public and private investment opportunities for SOAR and for outfits within the region. And I'm grateful to have one of Eastern Kentucky's most admired women, Kentucky's most admired woman in business, to chair that development committee, Ms. Jean Hale of Pikeville. Jean, raise your hand. Her expertise, I think, will help drive key partnerships and investments in SOAR to ensure this initiative thrives for the long haul. So, Jean, we're counting on you. And, of course, the governor and I will continue to work on federal and state opportunities. I think it's fairly unique to have a bipartisan state, federal organization put together. But truly, this is nonpartisan. And we've seen the success with Pride and with Unite across the region when you have the federal and state agencies pulled together as a team. And I think we have that with SOAR. Governor Paul Patton will chair what's called the Futures Forum. That will be an organization that will be a think tank group. They're thinking about the future. They're stepping outside the box. We're going to buy them all binoculars to see well into the future and be our scouts in helping us find that path into the future as we move along. So, Governor Patton, we thank you for taking on this chore. To plan the forum, we developed a committee to guide the way, and I can't think of a better person to chair that Futures Forum of our region than the former education governor of Kentucky, Paul Patton. As you know, he developed the strategic plan behind what we now know as the Kentucky Community and Technical College System. When he took the helm over at UPike, the Pikeville College at that time, the campus ignited and improved facilities and financial growth, nationally recognized programs. He don't just talk about the future, he knows how to make that happen. So there could not be a better leader of the Futures Forum than Paul Patton. We've also laid out a 9-month plan of action. It gives our committees a timeline for action, calls for a large-scale outreach to local businesses, local leaders, organizations, and citizens through listening sessions to be held across the region. Now, in December, back in December at the summit, we promised this would not be another initiative full of studies, reports, and meetings. This is not a debating society. It's a discussion group. But more importantly, it's to make things happen, to create jobs, to bring a better way of life to our region. We're planning our work, but I believe in working the plan, and I believe in results, not conversation. Well, conversation's okay if you're talking about basketball games. But when you're talking about the future of our region, we want action. So far, I think 2014 has proven to be very productive for SOAR. As the governor outlined, the entire region now is a part of the U.S. Department of Agriculture strike force. 8 of our counties are also part of the nation's first designated Promise Zone. The governor has announced the expansion of the Parkway, and I'm most excited about the new Kentucky Super Highway, bringing high-speed, high-capacity broadband to Kentucky, starting right here in eastern Kentucky. It's broad ideas like this dark fiber that can launch our region into global competition, that can transform the economy of our region like it's not seen yet. In these committees, if you think of an idea that seems too far out of reach, share it anyway. Tell us about it. And we'll work through the nuts and bolts to find a way to make it possible if it's doable. I want us to dream big. I want us to think the big thoughts. I want us to be bold. I want us to be action-oriented. I want us to be wanting to pull together for the betterment of our region. We've got to think about things larger than city lines or county lines. We've got to think about our region as a whole, as you have done in the past with things like Pride and Unite and others. So from here forward, Governor, I think we've got a plan of action. And we've got a group of people who are impassionately involved already in our region that's ready to go to work as a group, pulling toward a common goal. So I think it's a great day for Eastern Kentucky. Now, let me introduce Gene Hale. Let me bring forward, I told her as we were walking in the room, I said, you're our godmother. I think she took it okay. But Gene Hale, as you know, is a great leader for our state and our region and in her business. And I want to present her now, the new chairman of the Development Committee of SOAR that will enable us to soar. Gene.
when they asked me to speak today, I thought of it as a great opportunity to share some, I guess, heartfelt thoughts with you this morning. The Congressman's right. It does take a lot of funding, both private and public and philanthropic, to make a change happen. But I would like to share with you something. When I am talking with investors in our company, Community Trust is Kentucky's largest domiciled bank holding company, and it's located headquarter-wise in Pikeville, Kentucky. When I am traveling, meeting with institutional investors from Boston to New York to California, I have to talk about the economy because they're looking for that as part of the strength for us as a company. When I talk about the economy, I'm talking about the economy of Kentucky. I'm not talking about the economy of Central Kentucky, Northern Kentucky, South Central, or Eastern Kentucky. That is a message that it's our responsibility to get people to understand. The success of Kentucky depends on the economies of each of its regions. And the Eastern region does have a viable economy. As a company, we diversified because we felt a need to diversify. That plan was put in place 20 years ago because we recognized that we were dependent upon a one-industry economy, which was the coal industry. For our company to continue to grow and succeed, it needed to have diversification. That's what we need for the entire economy of Eastern Kentucky. Can we do that? Yes. The one thing that we need to be able to do is to communicate. We have to have everyone understand that we don't have problems. We have challenges and opportunities. I tell the employees of our company that now encompass West Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee, and there are 1,000 of them. When I talk with them, I tell them they're our most valuable resource. The success of each of those individuals means success for us as a company. And since we've grown from $18 million when I started to $3.6 billion, I think it works. But what we need to recognize, where I talk about employees being our most valuable resource, the people of Eastern Kentucky are our most valuable resource when it comes to the continuing expansion and development of Eastern Kentucky. We need to turn each of these challenges that we've been facing into opportunities, and we do have the best resources possible to make that happen. Everyone in this room has a vested interest in the continuing success of Eastern Kentucky. It's my hometown. I chose to be in Eastern Kentucky. My commitment and my passion is Eastern Kentucky. But I also know that I have to communicate to the rest of the world that we are a vital part of the state of Kentucky, and we can contribute significantly and succeed. And Kentucky needs to understand it needs Eastern Kentucky for its success. And I think everyone in this room has the ability to communicate the positive. The visions that we have need to be communicated to where people understand what we want to accomplish and know that we will accomplish that. So I challenge each and every one in this room today, start talking about Eastern Kentucky the way that it really is, with a strong workforce, a good family system and network. There's so many positives about Eastern Kentucky, not just problems, but opportunities for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Yes, sir. Certainly education is one of the biggest keys to success in Kentucky and in eastern Kentucky, and we'll continue to be working on issues just like that as we move along. Anybody else? Thank you all very much for being with us.
Before we adjourn, I've got a little chore I wanted to attend to here. One of the new members of the executive committee I wanted to call your attention to. His name is Tom Hunter. Tom, would you step forward, join me here? Just stand right here. Tom just retired about a month ago.
That's right.
As the executive director of the Appalachian Regional Commission in Washington, an organization that includes 13 states, pieces of 13 states, including, of course, eastern Kentucky. We would not be where we are today without ARC, and frankly, without Tom Hunter. He has been the friend of our region all these years, 20 years he was there. And he retired, and we grabbed him up real quick to put him to work on the executive committee. He wants to live on that farm, I know, but we're going to let him do that while he works full-time for us on the executive committee. He's made a tremendous impact on our communities, every single one of them, every county in the Appalachian part of Kentucky. Spurring private sector partnerships and investments in commercial and industrial development, helped us expand sanitary water and sewer to the far corners of this rural region, and so many other things like that over the years. Tom had oversight of the 3,000-mile Appalachian Development Highway System, noted to be the cornerstone of ARC's transportation efforts. He has impacted countless students through the Appalachian Higher Education Network, aided in tourism development with projects such as the Kentucky Artisan Heritage Trail, even demonstrated his passion for improving the health of our people through the Appalachian Health Policy Advisory Council. And I could go on about the accomplishments of this individual who now joins us in this effort. An invaluable addition to what we're trying to do. I submitted a congressional tribute to this man. He don't know this yet, in his honor. And I happen to have brought along a copy of that to present to you today, Tom. It's a resolution. I won't read it to you. You can see it if you'd like. Come forward and let Tom show it to you. But it is a statement by myself on the floor of the House in tribute to Tom Hunter and to the many accomplishments that he can be credited with. I just wanted you to know a little bit about this man who's meant so much to our region. Tom, thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. And Congressman, thank you. This is a huge honor. Things like this just don't happen every day, especially to me. And I very much appreciate it. It's even more significant coming from this man. I think every one of you in this room probably already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. We wouldn't have an Appalachian Regional Commission without Hal Rogers. I served as executive director for 20 years, and there was not one of those years that went by that Hal Rogers didn't have to fight to keep us in the game. And I think we have prevailed, and it's largely because of him. So, Congressman, thank you for this tribute, and thank you for all the things that you do for the people of Appalachia every day. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Let's get to work.
Thanks, Governor.
Good job.
Thank you.